you might be asking why this beautiful 1992 Norton has, actually I think it was a 1994 one, it was originally one of the Duckham spikes, has now been re-liveried like this, because a Norton is once again going to be howling round the Isle of Man TT circuit in 2015 in the classic TT. The actual original 1992 senior TT winning bike is going to be that Steve Hislop won on. That's going to be ridden on the parade lap by John McGuinness. But what I'd like to do is introduce you to the man whose idea it was to form a new motorcycle racing team based at the National Motorcycle Museum, which is going to bring the Norton back into the TT, in the classic TT of 2015. So I think it's time for him to come up now and just give you his take on how Team National Motorcycle Museum Racing came into being. Ladies and gentlemen, the man responsible for bringing all these bikes here, James Hewing, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. James.
Thanks, Jack.
So, are you sufficient of a boss man at the National Motorcycle Museum to be able to say, do you know what, I've got this idea for having a motorcycle racing team and I'm going to do it? Or did you have to kind of ask a boss or two?
Well, the museum, Jack, was formed by a gentleman called Mr. Roy Richards in the 1980s, and Roy's passion was Norton, and he loved everything British. And Roy also loved to see the Nortons run, the Nortons in particular, out of all the machines in the museum collection. And so it's a natural thing for us to do, to bring some of the works rotary Nortons back to the track. It really fits in with the ethos of the museum, that we don't want people to think of the museum as a dry, dead, boring place. We want the machines to live and breathe as they were meant to dispel that theory that, you know, the museum doesn't live and it is far more than a row of headlights.
So the people who currently run the museum, they're Roy's sons, aren't they, who are currently kind of in charge of the museum, if you like? They were keen on this idea. Yeah,
that's right. As I'm the museum director, Jack, but Roy's sons, Nick and Simon, we're all very keen on sort of continuing Roy's heritage, if you like, yeah, and carrying on Roy's great legacy that he left to the United Kingdom with the museum, but in a practical, exciting way.
So you've got this bike together. You've given poor old Brian Crichton a load of work to do, because he's got to get it set up to deal with the Isle of Man rather than short circuit racing, which was what these rotary Nortons originally specialised in. So he's got a lot of work to do in terms of oil tanks and fuel tanks and sorting the thing out. But I don't know whether the giveaway is in the number 6 that's on the motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen, but you have procured the services of a top-class TT rider to race this in the Classic of 2015.
Yes, we have, and rather than everybody hear from me, I'm sure you'll want to hear from the rider himself. But as you say, we're very lucky to have Brian Crichton, who built the bikes originally, because we couldn't be doing this without Brian. That's absolutely key to our success, and we're not going back to the Classic TT to just ride round and parade round. We are going there in a very, very serious way, and as such we've got a very, very serious rider on the bike that I think Jack's going to introduce to you now.
Have you got him out there somewhere? Because I haven't even... I know that he was taken out on the town in London last night, and I feared for his safety and whether we'd actually ever see him this afternoon. But do we bring him... Oh, he's here. Good man. Ladies and gentlemen, do we rip this off now? William Dunlop, ladies and gentlemen. Rip it off, and there it is. I've never done anything like this before. It's like opening a shop. But accidentally, William, how are you? Did you enjoy last night?
I wouldn't say it was enjoyable, no, but yeah, definitely.
Look, I'm stuck on this now. Right, let's get so look, the fact we had to tape that up because the boys had very cleverly, there's clerical error that put the name on the screen and then realised that people would just be able to read it, so that rather let the cat out of the bag. So William, how did this come about? You've not had a long-standing dream to race Nortons on the TT course, have you, or have you?
It was sort of, I don't know, it was sort of like a last-minute thing.
Can I keep that mic quite up?
Oh, right. No, it was kind of like a last-minute thing. James had sort of rang us last week basically, and that was it. So I had something else organised, which was probably my dream bike, was a 250 Yamaha. It was something I never rode a two-stroke round the island, but when this came up and my father's sort of history with it, it was something that was just too good to turn down, like, so.
That's something I forgot to mention actually, folks. As you'll notice, one of these John Player special rotary Nortons here has the name R. Dunlop on the fairing, because Robert Dunlop was a race winner with the Norton. He won the Northwest 200, the Ulster Grand Prix. He actually rostrummed at the TT with a third place at the TT as well in the senior. So yeah, so your father had quite a bit of history in the early 90s with Norton.
Yeah, no, that was it. So no, it was like, that was his favourite bike out of them all. I think it was more, he said it was a challenge to ride. So as I say, when this came up, it was like, you couldn't say no to it. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
It is going to be a bit of a challenge. Will you have a chance? I think you've got some opportunity to get out on it before you ever get to the island, haven't you? You're going to have a spin out on it before then.
Yeah, I think it'll be safe enough to have a run on it. No, I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, just even get a run on the circuit, see what it's going to be like, because like there's so many stories you hear about these bikes and what they can do. So I think it's best to probably have a run on it before I go down hill. You
might be advised to have a conversation with Terry Reimer, who we had on stage earlier today, because Too Tall Tell actually raced and won on one of these machines in 1992 as a substitute rider after Ron Haslam had busted his leg badly. And Terry did the double first time out at Donington Park. But he said it was like learning all over again how to ride a motorcycle. It was so utterly different from any animal he'd ever ridden before, and he had raced a lot. So it could be quite an entertaining journey you're embarking on here.
Yeah, no, I hope so. No, as I say, just especially around the Isle of Man, to get to race something like this, such a great track, and yeah, I'm really excited. Just see what it's going to be like down the bottom of Bray Hill first lap. It'll be nice. Very nice. Is the classic TT a thing that you enjoy? Is something that you regularly like to take part in, or will do in the future? That's my favourite race probably of the year. It's the one you go to the TT and it's a different type of excitement. It's more pressure as well. But to go to the Manx and not really, well, you do want to win, but you're not that bothered. But you can just go out and enjoy and ride the bike. So I think this is probably the best place for me to actually race something like this, and somewhere where you can go and enjoy it. But they do such a great job with it. As I say, the fact you just go there and everybody can just ride their bikes and there's no pressure.
And I think you've got quite a good team behind you. If I could just ask James, I think who's actually going to be involved in, are you nicking personnel from the Motorcycle Museum to take over to the Isle of Man to look after this? How's it going to work?
Well, Brian's going to be crew chief, obviously, and building the machine. Brian's son's involved, and Brian's son he understands the machines. And we've got a team of 3 mechanics at the museum that work for us full-time on the restorations. Arguably, one of the guys, although in his 70s, he's probably one of the best restorers in the country, and he's a fantastic mechanic. Really, there's nobody better. A guy called Colin Wall. Colin's son Wes, he also works for the museum, and now we've got Wes's son as the museum apprentice. So we've now actually got an apprentice. So there's a generation of people with some fantastic in-depth knowledge, Jack. So not only have we got Brian and all the rotary expertise, but we've also got some fantastic people on the spanners with sort of 100 years experience between them. So we're very, very confident we've got the right people. We're very, very serious about this, Jack, and we're going there to, with William, we're going there to get a result.
And what you mentioned, sorry, I was just going to ask you about sponsors, because obviously you've needed a bit of help to get this together.
Yes, yeah, we have.
As you can see from the new jacket, folks. Notice the fresh-on new jacket there. Team National Motorcycle Museum Racing. Very nice. None of these guys have taken them off since the beginning of the weekend.
Yeah, we've been lucky with sponsors, but unusually with sponsorship, it's not been a hard sell, because I think people have been so excited about the prospect of having a Works Rotary Norton back on the Isle of Man, and we have a long association with Footman James, the insurance company, and Bonham's, the auctioneers, Silkalina helping us out. Dunlop, which is great because the bikes were designed around Dunlop tyres, and that was very important to Brian that Dunlop were involved to keep that continuity. And so, yeah, we've been very lucky with sponsors. We've had a lady called Rachel Clegg, the Milestones TT calendar fame. She's done the livery of the bike and helped us out with the design, and everything's been a little bit last minute, but it all came together, as William said, in the last 2 or 3 days.
And how did, who was it who actually rang up William and broke the news to him and said, look, we've got this idea, an irresistible idea?
Yeah, as William said, it was, I think it was last Wednesday, wasn't it? Last Tuesday or Wednesday. But because of obviously, we've got all the Works Rotary Nortons in the museum, and obviously because of, you know, William's dad's fantastic achievement on the JPS bike, it was such a perfect fit to have William on the bike, and we think William will be very, very well suited to the characteristics of the bike, and there's that lovely family continuity as well. So it was one of those things, Jack, that was all it was meant to be, if you like. It's absolutely the right thing, and I just hope William agrees at some point in the next 6 months.
Look, William, there's one terrific advantage you've got here. We've got to point out, folks, because it was a big theme of the story of the rotary valve Norton that we've got up here again at 2:30 this afternoon with Brian Crichton and Dave Hickman and Terry Reimer, and that is, you'll notice that the bikes, as they got newer, and you reached the British Superbike winning number 25 Duckham's bike of Ian Simpson, it has twin rear shocks, because they had so many problems with the heat of the engine at the back of the engine, messing up the rear suspension on the monoshock system. And this bike, lo and behold, because it is one of the original Duckham's bikes, has the twin rear shocks. And apparently when Steve Hislop had a ride out on one of the twin shock bikes, having somehow managed to win the TT on a monoshock rear end, he was moved to say that was the sort of handling bike I expected when I went to the senior TT. This one was handling like a bag of spanners, and was just really a tribute to the amazing Hislop that he managed to win on it. So, William, it looks like you've got the more comfortable, old-school rear end that's going to make life a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, I'd say I get spoiled a wee bit more, but yeah, I don't know too much about them, to be honest. I just remember the days with watching that there, the DVD with him and Fogarty, you know, it was something special. So, as I say, just the whole history of the thing just was, just excites you, you know, to get a chance to ride one of these and see what they do.
Did you ever see your dad race on one of these when you were a kid?
No, the early 90s, I was about 5 or 6 years of age. I wouldn't, before my time, but everybody talks, as I say, it's just from people talking. As always talk when you associate his name, it's with Norton, so sort of before my time, but everybody knows of the name, you know.
It's going to be quite an exciting year for you, isn't it? What else are you going to be up to then during the course of 2015?
Yeah, I'm quite a lucky boy this year. I've got stayed with Tyco with the BMWs, and then I've got this as well. So yeah, just a full road racing schedule, and once we get past the TT, and then hopefully we get the chance in to try and get these right. And this is something different. This
is going to be quite a major part of the year for you, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm not, as I say, when I agree to do it, I'm not agreeing to do it just to parade it. I want to give it a good go and go as quick as possible, you know, and as I say, it's just the whole thing, looking forward to it.
Well, listen, we wish you two all the best. We hope it goes really well. It's a very exciting venture for 2015. Very exciting venture, of course, for the Classic TT. So, that bike is going to be there if you want to go over and see it in action in September, or I'm sure we'll be blessed to see it on the box. But then one of the main things, folks, is to hear it. It's just an extraordinary noise. I was lucky just to catch, during the later stages of these Norton's careers, catch Ron Haslam and Trevor Nation at Alton Park in a British Championship round. And it was an awesome din that they made, a true howl. And in fact, this Hislop bike, we start this up at the end of our Norton story session. So the final time that's going to happen this weekend, in the studious hands of Brian Crichton, will be at about 3 o'clock, 3:15 this afternoon. So if you want to hear the din for a last time, you're in danger of asphyxiation and perforation of the eardrum, but it's worth it just to hear the noise, believe me. to these guys, we wish them all the very best for 2015. This is a fabulous adventure, and you know, to get Norton back on the island for the first time since 1992 is just an amazing idea. So to James Ewing, William Dunlop, thank you very much indeed. All the best, guys. Thank you.